What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I want to talk about Tactical Masters, which was just officially released in the TCG this past Friday, and it has not been met with the greatest of fanfare. Now, those of you who are not familiar, for a while they used to do these side sets, almost, for years. I don't know say for a while. This is very new. Toon Chaos was the first set to do this and was a bit more of an anomaly because of the nostalgia factor, but Toon Chaos did it well, and then the next wave of these side sets that have all rares and, X number of foils with no guaranteed foils per pack kind of thing, have not been critically well received. You had Ancient Guardians, which was just an awful set that has struggled to maintain any semblance of value. Genesis Impact, which was a little bit better in terms of the content, but not really that much better in terms of the actual set performance. We had King's Court, which was a TCG exclusive, which is okay. I mean, it hasn't really held up as well over time. It didn't go anywhere near where Toon Chaos did, but it did have Lightning Storm and the Egyptian Gods, which were kind of a flop. Plus, we've had Grand Creators, which was easily one of the better ones that actually did have some value, but even now you've seen it start to fall out. So it begs the question, kind of, is this side set formula working? And I'm going to tell you, I don't think that it is. I really wish they would go back to the way they used to do it with the Hidden Arsenal sets and Dark Saviors and sets of that nature. And yeah, I'm going to present you a little bit of evidence as to why. So with that being said, let's jump into the video. Alright, you guys, before we get started, too, I just want to ask you guys to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Click the bell icon to get notifications whenever a new video is uploaded. And, of course, if you do enjoy the content and want to interact with the conversation in any way, please leave a comment down below, because it really does help, and I appreciate your feedback and support. So, Tactical Masters is an interesting set because it has an archetype, potentially two, that have real potential in a competitive environment. That being Runic, which is the quick play spell archetype. It was initially called Mr. Rune. I made a video talking about it months ago, and people were very hyped for the archetype, and with good reason. I do think it's pretty good, and I do think you're seeing performance with that in terms of sales, because the highest end cards in the set that are not collector rares are the Runic cards, and I think there's reason to be excited about how that deck might function. And there are some people who are kind of intrigued by the Labyrinth archetype as well. I am not necessarily sold on Labyrinth as a whole, but I do think it has some potential, and so it is something to at least keep in mind as a possibility, because I do think, again, it's not the worst set. And the third archetype, of course, is the Valance, which is a pendulum mechanic that is based on moving cards to different zones, that plays cards like Sene Switch. I didn't end up making a video about that one. It was just a weird archetype that had so much text and so much going on, and it just didn't really seem like there was that much intrigue or buzz around it, so I just kind of skipped over that for the purpose of, focusing on some other topics. But those are the three primary archetypes in here, and then we've got our reprints. So one of the cool parts about Tactical Masters starting out, and this is around $55 a box on the secondary market. I think typically the MSRP for a product like this is going to be closer to $65-$70. That's what I've seen a lot of my locals selling them at, but if you shop around online or you buy them by the case, you can typically get a better view. But for the purpose of this video, we are going to utilize that $55 price point because that's the cheapest I see on TCG Player, and I want to have a basis on which to kind of look at price. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the actual noteworthy cards that are in the set. Starting off with the big hitters, these are the top three performing cards in the set, the highest value for the most part, and I think the ones that people are going to be most after. You could also make an argument for Collector Rare Trap Trick and Collector Rare Anti-Spell Fragrance, but as they are a bit lower, I'm not going to use them for the purpose of this video. Now, Droll and Lockbird is obviously a very significant card in the meta, is quite good now and comes in and out of formats, but has always been a pretty good option and has never really been super cheap until this set, because we did get a rare printing of it, which we'll touch on in a bit. The Collector Rare Droll and Lock does look really nice, and in my opinion looks better than the Ultimate Rare, which I find to be just so... It doesn't pop, it doesn't really have any flair to it. I'm not a huge fan of the Ultimate. I liked the Ultra a lot before this, but the Collector Rare definitely does look really nice, and it's obviously hard to tell by a screenshot picture, but it does have a really nice look to it. Right now is around $95 on average for Droll and Lockbird, so the highest card in the set in terms of value is $95. Now, Cosmic Cyclone is another card that's been seeing a lot more play over the past couple of years, and especially with decks like Mystic Mine, Cosmic Cyclone is sort of a necessary card to out that in the sideboard. And if you're watching along with the YCS results from this past weekend, you'll see Mystic Mine 1, and you might see more people starting to go after Cosmic Cyclone one way or another, just because it is sort of one of the best outs you have to that, especially if you're looking at the Beat Cop combos or Field Barrier. Hopefully they ban mine and we don't have to worry about that, but that's another conversation for another day. Collector Rare Cosmic Cyclone is around $70 right now on average, making it the sort of second highest value card in the set. It's right up there with Runic Tip, which we'll talk about in a moment, but it also has an Ultimate Rare printing, which is higher and was very cheap for a long time, plus a couple of secret rare printings and an Ultra from Dual Devastator. So Cosmic Cyclone was not hard to get, but this is a higher rarity version. Technically, you could argue the Ultimate Rare is the highest, but there's no doubt that there is a demand for this, although I do think there was an argument to be made that a card might have been better, like a different card might have been better slotted in this position. This is what we're working with. So Runic Tip is the third highest price card in the set as of now at around $70, although I will say it has been decreasing in quantities as people are starting to look to Runics and pick this stuff up, so we could be looking at it as a higher end card a bit later, but it's a searcher. It's probably Runic's best individual card that really allows you to maximize your plays and start your combos, so it's understandable why it is desired. But right now, it's around $70, so we're going to use that price point. So this is what we're working with for the top end of the set. The three highest value cards in the set as of now: $95 for Droll and Lock, $70 for Cosmic Cyclone, and Runic Tip. We're going to move on, and I'm going to tell you why these numbers matter in a moment when we get to the overall sort of point I'm looking to make here. Moving on to the highest value Ultras in the set. These are the best Ultra Rares you can pull out of the set in terms of value as of now. Runic Tip, of course, like I said, is a pretty good card. It did get a buyout pretty quick when the set came out. I think it hit as low as like $17 for a little bit and is now selling around $30. So we're going to use that $30 price point. So the highest standard card in the set that is not a collector chase rarity is $30. Runic Fountain is another card that's pretty good and definitely necessary for the deck to work. It's a little bit lesser, around $20 a piece right now, although it has again gone up a bit. It was lower at the start of the week when release happened and has gone up since. So right now we're looking at 30 and 20, and then you've got Ariana the Labyrinth Servant, which is arguably the best Labyrinth card. It's a searcher, so it sort of falls into that line of, you know, if you're a searcher in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a decent archetype, you're going to be the highest desired card. Ariana's Ultra Rare version is around $12, sort of. I've seen a few listings a little bit lower, but we'll use 12 for the purpose of this video. So you can clearly see a disconnect in pricing right away. The highest Ultra in the set is $30, and then the third highest is not $12, which is just a big jump. There is not a lot of value here in terms of like stability or like making your money back on a box, which as we established is $55 a piece. And again, I'll bring this whole argument together in a moment. But it's important to note also that Ultras are 3 per box on average, which is even lower than core sets, so it means you're going to pull 3 Ultras total, and the max Ultra is $30. And that's a big sort of red flag for me because you don't have a lot of Ultras around that price point. If you look back to Grand Creators, we had Water Enchantress, we had Rite of Aramasir, both very high in price, and then you had the Punk stuff, which was pretty high, but not, you know, quite as high, and there was a good variety of stuff, plus the collector rares were all doing really well for any of the high-end adventure stuff, which was sort of what made Grand Creators an outlier versus the commonality looking at a lot of these cards here, you know, Toon Chaos notwithstanding. Most of these Ultras just fall off, and they're really hard to pull. You're getting 3 Ultras per box, and there's 12 boxes in a case, which means you're getting a max of 36 Ultras per case, barring a few, you know, clumping issues, extra cards, whatever, but we're just using an average here to say that you're going $30 is the max you can pull on your Ultras, and let's take a look at the second tier of Ultras from there. So we've got Ariana the Labyrinth Servant, which is around $7 for the Ultra. Welcome Labyrinth, which is a pretty good trap that I think people have definitely had their eyes on. That is around $9. And then Hugin the Runic Wings, or Hugin, I don't know if I mispronounced it, sorry, sue me, is the highest Runic price card aside from the big 2, and that is around $7 and has been falling since. So even with the deck having hype, these cards are not really maintaining a lot of value at all, and they're nearing, you know, if this trend continues, could end up being a little bit lower after the first week and a half until maybe people start to scoop them up. So our highest Ultra is 30, and the best Ultra that we can pull that's not like lower than like $5, and even then I think that's a bit much, is Hugh and the Runic Winds at $7. So you are just seeing this big lack of value in the set. A lot of the Ultras are very cheap, and even the ones that are expensive wouldn't really be considered expensive, which is both good and bad, because arguably from the perspective of someone who just wants to get the cards in play, it's great that they're cheap. But as a set, you are automatically setting yourself up to fail with this product unless you get really lucky and pull broken, but you could say that about literally any collectible product. You could get lucky, you could pull, but the odds are not set up for you to do so, especially because collector rares are around 1 in 3 boxes. And again, there are collector rares we didn't even showcase in this video, like some of the Valance ones that are like 20 bucks. So we're talking about, you know, a big displacement of value. So if we're using, you know, sort of max potential here to say a booster box is $55 and the best collector rare that you can pull in a booster box is Droll Lockbird at $95. You need to buy around 3 booster boxes to get a collector rare. And of course, there's a bunch of different collector rares, 15 in total. So that's, you know, not really taking Droll into consideration. But let's say you get lucky and you pull Droll. So you pull Droll Lockbird, which is around 95, and you're just the luckiest person in the world. So your box has 3 ultras. You pull 1 of each of the big 3 ultras in this set. You're still not making your money back on that investment. So 3 boxes at $55 is going to be $165. And your ultras from just that one, you know, collector rare plus the others is going to be less than that amount. Not by much, of course, but it's going to be literally $2 less than that amount, which is kind of crazy to think about because you're just looking at insane value displacement. And this is like the high end. This is assuming your box is perfect. And that's just kind of my problem with these types of side sets, is that unless you're hitting the collector rares and unless you're hitting a good collector rare, you're going to end up in a rough spot. Now, there are some decent rare reprints in this set. Of course, Droll Lockbird is around 2 and change. You've got Anti-Spell and Cosmic Cyclone, both under $1 right now. Those could go up in the future, and we have seen good reprints like Solemn Strike and E-Telly and Grand Creators, and Ancient Guardians, I guess, had trade-in, but there weren't too many great reprints there. So while there are a few lower-end hits that are okay, it doesn't really make up for the fact that the set as a whole is just a product that's not good. Like, it's more of a flaw of the way these sets are structured and what the pull rates are than anything else. But when you look at older sets like the Hidden Arsenal sets, the Dark Saviors sets, Secret Slayers, where you had everything as super or secret, value on a lot of those supers have started to go up over time. You had staple cards like Trap Trick and Upstart Goblin that are now worth a couple bucks. Solemn Judgment, which is almost 10. And you had foil options. So imagine if this set had given us, you know, Super Droll, Super Fragrance, Super Cyclone. You had alternates, or even if Droll had been a secret rare and the set was, you know, all supers and secrets, and you had a first-time opportunity to get Droll in that rarity. I think the formatting for those sets where you got the all-foil sets and it was, you know, supers and secrets, you get 24 secrets in a box, they aged better over time and they were just more rewarding to open. Now, obviously, the better move overall is just to buy singles. There's no doubt about that, but my thought process is that Tactical Masters might be the most underwhelming of these sets, with the exception of Ancient Guardians, specifically because it is just such a value loss, and these cards have not proven themselves in any way. If you're buying this to keep sealed, it's just hard to imagine it aging well over time. Ancient Guardians has a couple of higher-end cards that are collector rare, like Dino Wrestler, Pankratops, and Skullmeister, and even that set is still like $40 for a box, because it is just stacked against you so much in terms of your odds to actually get a good collector rare. And I just think the way Konami is structuring these sets now does a lot to really kind of hurt the overall value of side sets and the excitement as a whole, because if you want to build any of these decks, you're better off to just buy the singles. There's no fun in opening these to try and chase down stuff. There's no fun in buying these as like a product. It's just kind of a lackluster set as a whole, and continuing a trend of lackluster set styles with a few obvious exceptions that are meta warping. And maybe Runic will go up more and it'll sort of change the, you know, sort of stance. But again, when your highest ultra is 30 and the set as a whole, you know, has a bunch of ultras in it, you're not likely to pull that ultra. You're more than likely going to fail hard on these boxes unless you get super lucky. And that's just kind of an unfortunate reality with these side sets. I'd like to see them come back to a place of prominence and sort of bring back the all-foil side sets, but I don't know what you guys think. Do you like this structure? Do you not like this structure? I'm definitely not buying Tactical Masters. I'm not even going to be opening any on the channel, at least not immediately. I might do a few shorts just to keep up the trend of getting a few things going, but as a whole, I just find the set to be really underwhelming, and I think they dropped the ball here. They had a good chance to follow up Grand Creators with a strong performance, and this set as a whole, even though it does have a few intriguing cards for future use, is not that great. So it does get a downvote for me. Let me know what you guys thought of the video in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. This video is brought to you by yourplaymat.com. Create your own custom playmats, card sleeves, and more by visiting yourplaymat.com today using the affiliate link in the description below. Use my code LS10YP and save 10% off your purchase while supporting the channel directly. Thanks again to yourplaymat.com for sponsoring this video.